Welcome to Cheat Sheet Tale, where secrets slip, lies unravel, and the truth always has a twist. Real stories, raw confessions, and shocking betrayals. Drop a comment if you've ever caught a red flag too late. Now, let's get into today's tale. My nasty neighbor kept blocking my driveway and sneering. What are you going to do about it? My husband told me to ignore it. But I smiled, took photos, and made a call. The next day, he woke up to a towed car fines and a legal nightmare. I live in a quiet suburb in the Midwest. My husband, David, and I moved here 5 years ago. We have a modest home with a driveway that fits 2 cars. We both work full-time and usually keep to ourselves. Our neighborhood is peaceful, with families and retirees. About a year ago, a new neighbor moved in next door. His name is Greg. He's in his late 40s, lives alone, and drives a massive black pickup truck. From the beginning, he wasn't friendly. No greetings, no small talk. Just a cold stare whenever we crossed paths. It started subtly. Greg would park his truck partially over our driveway. At first, it was just a few inches annoying, but manageable. Then it became more frequent and more intrusive. Sometimes his truck would block half of our driveway, making it difficult to get in or out. I approached him politely the first time. "Hey, Greg, your truck is a bit over our driveway. Could you please be mindful?" He looked at me, smirked, and said, "What are you going to do about it?" I was taken aback. I didn't expect such hostility. I tried to reason with him. But he walked away. Over the next few weeks, the situation worsened. Greg began parking his truck entirely across our driveway, blocking use in. He did this during the day and sometimes overnight. Each time I would knock on his door and he would respond with the same smirk and the same line. "What are you going to do about it?" I started documenting everything. Photos, dates, times. I called the non-emergency police line, but they said it was a civil matter. I contacted the homeowners association, but they were slow to act. David suggested we ignore it, hoping Greg would stop, but I couldn't. This was our home, our space. I wasn't going to be bullied. I did some research and found that blocking a driveway is illegal in our city. I also discovered that repeated offenses could lead to fines and towing. I gathered all my documentation and contacted Thessady's parking enforcement. They advised me to call them the next time Greg blocked our driveway. I waited. Sure enough, a few days later, Greg parked his truck across our driveway again. I called parking enforcement. They arrived within an hour, issued a ticket, and towed his truck. Greg was furious. He banged on our door, yelling and cursing. We didn't answer. He stood outside for a while before storming off. Since then, Greg has been more careful about where he parks, but the tension remains. He glares at us whenever we see him. He started playing loud music at night and revving his truck engine early in the morning. I've continued to document everything I've filed, noise complaints, and reached out to the high again. They've started taking action, issuing warnings to Greg. This isn't over yet, but I'm not backing down. I'm standing up for my rights in my home. I thought the worst was over. After his truck got towed, was wrong. Things didn't quiet down. They got worse. Greg wasn't just angry. He was out for payback, and he was clever in that nasty, passive-aggressive way. Some people get when they can't stand losing. It started with small things. Our trash cans would be knocked over on collection days. Every single week, packages started disappearing from our porch. We checked the cameras, nothing. Caught either he knew where the blind spots were, or he had help. I started getting weird flyers in our mailbox, junk ads for questionable services. Then someone signed me up for a dozen weird email subscriptions. It was stupid stuff, but annoying. And then the real stuff started. One morning, I walked out to go to work and froze. Someone had keyed my car, deep, jagged lines all the way across the passenger side. 3 big letters, but no one in the neighborhood saw anything, or at least, that's what they said. Even your Ring camera missed it. The car had been parked just far enough back to be out of view. I filed a police report. They said they'd look into it, spoiler. They didn't. David told me we should drop it. Let it go, babe. We don't need more drama. But I couldn't. Something in me snapped. This man was poking and poking like I wouldn't fight back, like I'd roll over. Nope. I decided to get smart. I bought 2 more cameras. Better ones. I placed one across from the driveway attached to the neighbor's tree with their permission. The other, I mounted inside our front window, aimed perfectly at the sidewalk and Greg's driveway. And then I waited. 2 weeks later, I caught him on camera, pouring something down the side of our fence line at night. I checked the spot in the morning. The grass was yellowing, dead in streaks. I sent the footage straight to the HO and to a local lawyer I'd spoken with earlier. Then I knocked on Greg's door. He opened it with his usual smug look. I didn't speak, just handed him a printed still shot of him mid-pour, grinning like an idiot. "You've got a problem now," I said, then walked away. A week passed. No more damage, no more trash. Can and knockdowns, it was quiet, too quiet. That Saturday, we had friends over for a cookout. While we were in the backyard, someone called the cops and us noise disturbance, they said, at 6:30 p.m. We weren't even playing music, just talking and grilling. The officer was polite, but I knew who had called. The next morning, we found nails scattered across our driveway. Rusty, roofing nails. Dozens of them. This time I didn't even knock on Greg's door. I sent a letter from the lawyer, including the cost of a new tire we had to replace. That's when he made his first mistake. Greg lost it. He started yelling at me across the yard, calling me names I won't repeat here, said I was a nosy little snake, a crazy housewife, and that people like me ruin neighborhoods. I recorded everything. It stayed silent, didn't yell back, just let them go. Then I turned the footage into the police and Ho again. The lawyer filed a harassment complaint. That was when we found out something else, something big. Turns out Greg's name wasn't Greg, not legally. The lawyer uncovered that Greg was a nickname. His real name was Gregory G. Pelton, and he had a record, multiple warnings in a different city, for aggressive behavior and neighbor complaints. Even a restraining order from a former neighbor 3 years ago. He'd moved to our quiet little neighborhood after being forced to sell his last house. I was stunned. No one knew. The real estate agent didn't tell anyone, and he probably used the nickname to fly under the radar. But now I had ammo. Real ammo, and it was just the beginning. I couldn't stop thinking about it. This man had a whole history of terrorizing neighbors, and no one here knew. I wasn't just dealing with a rude jerk anymore. This was a pattern. I started digging. David didn't like it. "You're obsessed," he told me we should move, but I wasn't going to run. This was our home. Why should we be the ones to leave? So I filed a public records request in Greg's previous county. I found court documents, and there, it was in black and white. 3 separate neighbors had filed complaints against him for harassment, threats, even property damage. One case involved him throwing a rock through a woman's window because she had complained about his barking. Dog, another, was for pouring bleach on someone's flowers. What finally forced him out was a civil suit where he was found responsible for $6,000 in damages to a neighbor's car. The restraining order came right after. So yeah, this wasn't new behavior. He just moved, here to start over. And unfortunately, he picked the wrong person this time. Armed with documents and photos. I showed up at the next HOA meeting. It was packed. Word had gotten around that something big was brewing. I didn't hold back. I laid it all out, the car king, the grass poisoned, the nails, the verbal harassment, his record. Some people were shocked. Others nodded like they had suspected it all along. Greg didn't show up. Of course, by the end of the meeting, the HOA voted to take formal action. They fined him and started legal proceedings to have him removed from the HOA entirely. That doesn't happen often, but it's possible. But then came something no one expected. I'd started noticing weird things. My mail started arriving late. My recycling bin had someone else's paper bills in it. One of my cameras glitched out during the night. And when I checked it, the next morning, the SD card was missing. That scared me more than anything else. So far, someone had been on our porch. At night, while we slept, I replaced all the locks in the house, bought more motion sensor lights, and started backing up all the camera footage to the cloud every day. Then I caught him on a Thursday night, 12 a.m. He walked up to our front porch wearing a hoodie. He didn't ring the bell. He didn't knock. He just stood there looking into the camera. Then he turned around and left. Why, I don't know. But I don't know, he saw the new camera. Maybe that was the point. That footage, I took it straight to the police. This time, they took it more seriously. "This is escalating," the officer said. They assigned a detective, filed it. As criminal trespassing. Gave me a number to call if I felt threatened again. And then, week later, I was home alone. It was late. David was out of town. I was watching TV in the living room when I heard something on the side of the house, a scraping noise. I turned off the lights and peeked out. I couldn't see anything, but my gut said someone was there. I didn't wait. I called the police. They came fast, 3 units. No one was caught, but there were fresh footprints in the mulch. They led right up to our side window. That was it for me. My lawyer told me. We now had enough for a restraining order of our own. He filed the paperwork the next day. But more than that, we were going to the city, not just the HOA, not just civil action. We were now pushing for criminal charges. And while I waited, something else landed in my lap, a message one of Greg's former neighbors found me on Facebook. She sent a DM I heard through someone. "You're dealing with Greg. We used to live next to him in Danville. He's dangerous." She told me about things that weren't in the court documents. Stuff she said was never proven, but everyone suspected, like how one of his neighbor's dogs disappeared after barking too much, like how someone's garage caught fire right after an argument with him. The cause was ruled electrical, but the timing, I felt sick reading it. My hands were shaking. How David, he was pale. This guy. He's not just an angry neighbor, he's unstable. Things reached a point where I was constantly on edge. The porch lights stayed on all night. I triple-checked the locks. I didn't sleep unless David was home. And every time the floor creaked, I jolted awake thinking it was him. I kept asking myself, how far is this guy willing to go? Then I found out. One morning, I stepped outside and found something that turned my stomach. Our cat Milo was dead. No blood, no wounds, just laying in the grass, like he'd fallen asleep and never got up. We took him to the vet. They said it looked like poisoning. There was no proof, no camera footage, no witness. But I knew Greg had seen the cat in the yard before. He once yelled, "Keep your damn animal off my side." I didn't think much of it then. Now it felt like a threat. We had ignored. David broke down that night. Milo had been with us for 10 years. Something in both of us snapped. David wanted to confront Greg directly, but I stopped him. "No, we do this right, no." Yelling, "No cops who won't act. We end this." So I set a trap. We bought a fake car, an old junker, with expired plates and a cracked windshield. Just $400 off Craigslist. I parked it in our driveway with the trunk slightly open. We rigged it with 3 cameras, one in the trunk, one in the wheel, while one pointed from our bedroom window. Then we waited 3 days, nothing. On the 4th night, 2:47, we caught him. He walked up, looked around, then pulled gloves from his pocket. He opened the trunk. I don't know what he expected to find, but he reached inside. That's when the camera flash went off, automatically, triggered by motion. He ran. We had it all: face, gloves, trespassing, intent to tamper. I called our lawyer. This time we didn't just file for another restraining order. We pressed full criminal charges. Greg was arrested the next morning. He screamed the whole time. Cops had to drag him off his porch while he threatened to sue me. "You'll regret this. I'm the victim." Here he tried every excuse. Said I'd been harassing him. Said we were spying and trapping him. The judge didn't buy it. He was fined $10,000, charged with trespassing, property damage, and violating multiple HOA and local laws. He was forced to sell the house under court order due to violations tied to his past and present behavior. The HOA voted unanimously to ban him from ever living in the neighborhood again. He left that same week, middle of the night, no goodbye, just a moving truck and silence. Here's the part most people won't admit. I didn't come out of this clean either. The fight changed me. I stopped being the kind neighbor. I snapped at people who knocked on my door. I flinched at loud noises. I got paranoid, David, and I fought more than ever before. He told me I'd become obsessed. "You got justice," he said, "but it cost you your peace." He wasn't wrong. For months, even after Greg was gone, I kept expecting his truck to turn the corner. Every time a package went missing, I panicked. Every scratch on my car made my heart race. About 6 months later, a letter came in the mail. No return address, just a folded piece of paper. One line. "You may have one, but now, you're the crazy neighbor." No signature. No threats. Just that. It felt like a punch to the gut. Not because I feared Greg would come back, but because part of me knew there was some truth to it. I'd let him turn me into something I hated. And yeah, I got my revenge. But it didn't feel like victory. It felt like survival, and survival isn't clean. It's messy. It changes you. It's messy.